Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and here is your detailed weather forecast update for Saturday, the 23rd of August 2025. Heaps to get through in today's weather forecast update. A storm offshore from the New South Wales east coast is bringing still some showers and some strong winds to parts of the central coast of New South Wales. Strong storms expected to move through southeastern Australia throughout the next week, bringing snow and heavy rainfall, and a strong storm expected to lash southwest and western Australia from tomorrow. All the details on these weather events, plus a whole lot more coming your way in the next 15 minutes, so please do stick around to the end and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's go get stuck straight into the weather forecast over into New South Wales. We do have that storm that's the remnants of that east coast low type weather system that was actually situated over New South Wales, where it wasn't technically an east coast low, but it sure did was reminiscent of one, with the heavy rainfall that it brought and even the strong winds that it brought in some places throughout the last 5 or 6 days or so. The storm is now a shell of its former self as it tracks offshore from New South Wales. It is a lot weaker this morning with a lot less rainfall and a lot less storm activity rotating around its very fractured centre, which is currently jammed up between a cold front moving through the southeast of the nation and some high pressure situated over New Zealand this morning. There is still a few more showers and a bit more rainfall falling across parts of New South Wales this morning, in particular offshore from the Jervis Bay and the Point Perpendicular coastline, which has had more than their fair share of rainfall in the last 5 or 6 days or so, with over 300 millimetres now falling since Monday over on the Jervis Bay weather station. There was a little bit of rainfall yesterday, and some rainfall accumulations between 10 to 25 millimetres were observed, and at this point in time, as I'm reading in my comment sections on YouTube and Facebook, it's not going to take much to flood people's backyard. Some people suggesting as little as 5 or 10 millimetres to cause some flooding concerns through backyard. So it really is not taking much in the way of rainfall to occur across New South Wales, and every single heavy shower that comes through is now causing some flooding problems here or there across the state. Thankfully, with this storm here, it is actually expected to pull further away from the coastline throughout the remainder of today, and you can actually see that on the forecast modelling here. Whilst it is very close to the coastline, and showers are expected to kick up a little bit later on for the Hunter region into Newcastle for a brief period of time later this afternoon. For the most part, this low pressure system, even though it does get quite a bit stronger throughout the course of today, does pull away from the New South Wales coastline far enough as to where it's not going to be any concern in terms of rainfall or wind speeds at this point in time. It's getting a lot of airtime, this low pressure system, that's for sure, considering it is still quite strong and it is offshore from the New South Wales coastline by only a matter of maybe 150 or 200 kilometres, but it is kind of in a position where it's being squished up. It's literally being compressed by low pressure over Victoria and into the Tasman Sea, and by high pressure over in towards New Zealand and that area, which is keeping the conditions well offshore from New South Wales, even though this storm is not well offshore in New South Wales, if that does make sense. The good news is for New South Wales, rainfall accumulations over the next 14 days are very low indeed. Have a look at this. This is rainfall accumulations out of the 6th of September with a very reliable eSIMWeather forecast model. There's quite a few spots on the New South Wales mid-north coast and into the Hunter region that are looking at maybe 1 or 2 millimetres throughout this time period over the next 14 days, and even less rainfall is expected further south through the Sydney metro area. Finally, some sunny days, finally some clear, dry conditions that look like they're going to dry out very soggy New South Wales. In fact, this is the longest period of time where less than 5 millimetres is on the forecast for New South Wales that I've seen since probably about April or May of this year, so this is some very good news indeed. And the same deal goes up in towards Queensland until you get up to about Townsville, when rainfall does begin to build, as you would expect for this time of year, into the Cape York Peninsula. I'll talk about this at the end of the forecast update. But yeah, for New South Wales, the weather forecast remains good. Same deal with southeast Queensland, the weather forecast looking good over the next 14 days. The same cannot be said across Victoria, Tasmania and South Australia. There are some good storms coming through, especially after this weekend onwards. You can see a strong low pressure system beginning to build in the Great Australian Bight through Monday. That's expected to draw across the South Australia coastline with some heavy falls possible Monday night into Tuesday morning. Up to 35 millimetres is possible through parts of the Eyre Peninsula, around Roxby Downs and Woomera, and then into the Flinders Ranges, especially through Tuesday morning. This is going to turn into a very large low pressure system into the Great Australian Bight, dragging rainfall through Victoria and into parts of southeastern New South Wales through Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. It's going to bypass Tasmania by the looks of things, because the low is expected to move over the top, and then these showers behind the frontal system, or the very weak frontal system, are just going to continue through Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, out towards Saturday, and then clearing by the looks of things through Sunday and into Monday the 1st of September. But in short, a very turbulent week of weather is expected throughout southeastern Australia, including coastal South Australia, Victoria, and especially the west coast of Tasmania, starting on Tuesday, but really intensifying through Thursday, Friday and Saturday the 28th to the 30th of August. We could be seeing some pretty violent winter's weather across southeastern Australia. This is a very, very typical forecast picture to see at this time of the year. This is more reminiscent of midwinter type weather, so something we'd see in July, but it is still winter, and this sort of weather is absolutely no stranger to southeastern Australia for this time of the year. It's definitely going to feel like the winteriest week of the year, if that does make sense, especially for Victoria and South Australia. I don't think they've had a week where it's just rained pretty much constantly as it normally does in winter across both Victoria, South Australia and Tasmania. This week is definitely going to be that week. Rainfall will be at its heaviest through Wednesday morning through Victoria, South Australia and the west coast of Tasmania. It will ease off a little bit through Wednesday night into Thursday morning, but then picking up again as another cold front. I think this will be cold front number 4 by the time it crosses the coast through Thursday and into Friday, and then heaps of showers expected through Friday. It's going to be brutally cold on Friday, might I add, as well, with heaps of snowfall expected as well. In fact, rainfall will fall as snowfall in Tasmania above 200 or 300 metres into the southwest of the state and above about 400 metres into the northwest of the state. Rainfall will also fall as snowfall above about 600 metres in Victoria, increasing to about 800 metres throughout early Sunday morning, and you can see rainfall turning to snowfall is also expected across the border in towards New South Wales as well. Very cold, very snowy, as you would expect for this time of the year. Talking about those rainfall accumulations right now, looking like some very, very healthy numbers indeed. Let's just talk about the rainfall coming through from Tuesday out to Monday, the 1st of September. You can see triple-digit rainfall accumulations expected across the west coast of Tasmania, as you would expect from that westerly flow coming through. But starting in South Australia, you can see some great rainfall is also expected through the Eyre Peninsula. Widespread falls into the end of the Spencer Gulf, up around that 25 to 30 millimetre mark as well, extending north towards Roxby Downs, Woomera and Lake Torrens. Rainfall accumulations in the Adelaide area, especially into the Adelaide Hills, with showers and storms going to be coming through, especially through Thursday, Friday and Sunday. We could be looking at triple-figure rainfall accumulations through Adelaide as well. Adelaide itself, I'd say, shouldn't crack anything more than about 60 or 65 millimetres, but the hills could definitely approach 100 or even 125 millimetres in places. Falls again increasing about 50 millimetres into the southeast of South Australia, potentially as high as 75 millimetres around both Robe and Mount Gambier, and then falls pushing close to 80 millimetres expected along the southwest coast of Victoria. That'll decrease to about 50 millimetres north to about Horsham, Ararat and Ballarat, and then rainfall accumulations up around that 20 millimetre mark expected north to the New South Wales-Victoria border. Rainfall accumulations will once again pick up around Melbourne and then into the Victorian Alps. Falls between 20 to 50 millimetres expected throughout Melbourne, especially with the heaviest falls coming through Thursday, Friday and Saturday, and rainfall accumulations between 50 to 80 millimetres, and whatever falls above a certain height, which is probably going to be around 800 or 900 metres, especially through Friday and Saturday, that snowfall is going to be brought down to some lower elevations that don't typically see it. We're going to be seeing that rainfall fall as snowfall, and some significant quantities of snowfall are also anticipated. Like I said, the west coast of Tasmania running away with those much higher rainfall accumulations. I think this forecast is underdoing it. 150 millimetres expected around Mount Reid. My personal projection would go as high as 250 millimetres here, with the nature of the west coast of Tasmania and the amount of rainfall coming through, especially in the amount of cold fronts coming through. We'd be talking about 50 millimetres a day for a week straight across the west coast of Tasmania in a few locations, and that is not unusual for this time of the year. Falls between 125 to 175 millimetres expected throughout the west coast, including Strawn and then around Strathgordon as well. Rainfall accumulations around Hobart shouldn't be more than about 20 millimetres. They're very protected down there, but we will still see a few drizzly showers move through into the Hobart area as well. And like I said, snowfall, really significant snowfall accumulations expected. A little bit down from yesterday's forecast over in Tasmania. Falls between 30 to 50 centimetres as opposed to 40 to 60 centimetres there. So still really good snowfall accumulations, but a little bit less than what we were expecting yesterday. Thredbo and Perisher Valley should run away with falls around that 50 centimetre mark, and we could be seeing snowfall accumulations pushing close to 40 centimetres through the higher elevations of Victoria as well. Snowfall's not going to stop here as well. You can see 14-day snowfall accumulations beyond the first week of September as well, still continuing to fall. So snowfall is expected into the first and the second weeks of September as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if we finished off snow season 2025 in a really strong capacity through early September, like we are looking at right now on the forecast modelling. Winds aren't actually expected to be too much of a threat. If we were going to see severe weather, it was going to happen from that initial cold front coming through, but that westerly flow will still bring some strong wind gusts, especially to the west coast of Tasmania and exposed coastal locations through South Australia and Victoria, not to mention the high country through New South Wales and Victoria as well. Wind gusts could all approach 85 or 90 kilometres an hour for the above locations, but all in all, I'm not seeing anywhere that runs away with particularly strong wind gusts. The strongest gusts barely crack 100 kilometres an hour around Mount Cyclones Island over the next 14 days, and that really isn't unusual for them even at this time of the year. So whilst there will certainly be some strong wind gusts associated with some strong showers, we're not expecting anything too crazy in the way of serious wind speeds, which is some good news indeed. And let's talk about the west coast of Western Australia as well. We do have a northwest cloud band moving in this morning, which has left some pretty healthy rainfall accumulations, especially for this time of the year, in rain gauges through the Pilbara and the Gascoyne region. Exmouth has so far copped nearly 40 millimetres of rainfall. Great for this time of the year, with much more rainfall still to come, and you can see really piling on into the Pilbara region right now around Pannawonica, Tom Price and into Newman. There are some great rainfall accumulations beginning to build in those regions as well. Rainfall is falling as far south as about Murchison into the Gascoyne. Rainfall's not expected to get too much further south throughout the remainder of today, but as you can see throughout the course of today, rainfall is then going to slide into the wheat belt, and we could be seeing some decent storms develop through parts of the northern wheat belt, especially through Morawa, Kalani and Dalwallinu. Rainfall accumulations aren't going to be anything too crazy, with widespread falls between 2 to 10 millimetres expected. That could increase to about 15 to 25 millimetres further out into the goldfields, especially in particular between Mount Magnet across towards Leinster and Laverton. Rainfall accumulations will most likely stop at around Kalgoorlie until the evening hours, when there will be a bit of a line that goes through there, and some heavy showers tending to heavy rainfall at times are possible later tonight through the eastern extremities of the wheat belt, kind of on that fringe country around Southern Cross and Borrabidden. We could be seeing some rainfall accumulations into this pocket of the wheat belt. Nothing's going to be close to the Perth metro area though. In fact, you can see the rainfall in those storms completely bypass the Perth metro area, and you have to get to about the east of about Cunderdin or Kellabarron to really see some thunderstorms, or the chance of some thunderstorms and the chance of some rainfall. But the majority of the wheat belt is looking at between 2 to 10 millimetres throughout the afternoon hours of today, and that could increase to about 15 millimetres the further east and the further northeast you get. Definitely some good storms are possible, especially early this afternoon between midday and about 3 o'clock around Morawa, or inland from Geraldton really, and in Ebiaba, and then around Morawa and Mora, and then down towards Kalani and Dalwallinu. This little pocket here could see some good thunderstorms later tonight on that fringe between the heavy rainfall and plenty of convective energy going to be in the atmosphere, so I would not be surprised if a severe thunderstorm or two popped up there. And then it's going to be some colder weather, some more miserable weather for the southwest, especially developing later tonight. More showers moving into the Perth metro area, tending heavy at times through early tomorrow morning. We're going to be seeing that heavy line cross the coast probably at around 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, but before that, plenty of shower activity forecast to move through the Perth metro area, and it's going to be those fast moving showers that come through ahead of the cold front. You can see wind gusts actually expected to pick up quite strong ahead of this cold front as well, pushing close to 70 or 80 kilometres an hour. Definitely not going to be anything too severe in the way of wind gusts from this cold front, but we will be seeing some heavier falls here and there. This is going to be more of a rain-based weather system coming through in towards southwestern WA, and you can see that rainfall relentless throughout the late morning hours into the early afternoon hours, then showers picking up through Sunday night, especially in towards Monday morning, and you can see showers and storms expected to be widespread through Monday morning into early Monday afternoon before they finally begin to ease off later Monday night, and then that continues through Tuesday and into early Wednesday morning for the southwest coast, and then another low pressure system racing up from the south through Wednesday and Thursday, continuing the wet weather for the southwest, including the Perth metro area, with the showers and storms finally beginning to clear off throughout Thursday and into early Friday morning as a strong high pressure ridge begins to build across southwest and Western Australia, which will keep things dry after Thursday morning throughout the remainder of winter. But yeah, definitely some more wet weather is expected. Perth has already broken a 36-year-old record of above average rainfall for every month of winter. That record has stood for a long time, and they broke it just a few days ago, with much more rainfall still expected to fall this weekend. I would not be surprised if we saw 100 millimetres of rainfall coming through the Perth metro area throughout the course of tomorrow. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Rainfall accumulations are going to get quite heavy, and a 5-day period pushing close to 100 millimetres is possible around the Perth Hills and into the wetter locations throughout the southwest and the south coastal region as well. I see Perth picking up about 25 millimetres of rainfall throughout tomorrow. A further 25 millimetres is possible, in fact probably more on the expected side of things through Monday, and then rainfall accumulations between 10 millimetres or around the 10 millimetre mark expected for both Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday likely to be the drier of those 2 days. Rainfall accumulations into the hills will likely be a lot stronger than that. We will likely be seeing those 100 millimetre rainfall accumulations as mentioned, and rainfall accumulations along the south coast also looking to be quite solid indeed. Because this is going to be more of a shower based weather system, we are expecting some good rainfall to come through, like I said, today through parts of the wheat belt, but the majority of the rainfall throughout the wheat belt is or throughout the southwest is actually going to bypass the wheat belt. We're not expecting rainfall accumulations to be anything too crazy through the wheat belt, and falls between 10 to 25 millimetres look to be more fair across the wheat belt, which is probably the best news that they could be hoping for this time of the year. They've had a great great season so far, and more rainfall will be some great news indeed. But at this point in time, it doesn't look like they need anything more than about 25 millimeters. And once you start pushing over 25 millimeters in a quick dump coming through, flash flooding and riverine flooding does start to become a little bit of a concern. So far, this is a very good forecast for the wheat belt and just as much for the south coast as well. Temperatures are going to get very cold through Wednesday as well as that second low pressure system comes through, and there might be a small chance of snow once again on the top of Bluff Knoll. It's been a very snowy season for Bluff Knoll in compared to recent years, and there might be another small chance of some snowfall accumulations on Wednesday. But again, the stars have to align for that at this point in time. That is not a likely thing to occur right now. And then looking forward into the first week of September, there is going to be a weak cold front and potentially some low pressure system activity that develops through the goldfields and the wheat belt. But it looks like it's going to be a lot drier for the coastal regions of Western Australia. We might be seeing a little bit of rainfall develop by the looks of things later on into the first week of September, especially through Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. And the goldfields in the south interior could be a position to watch in terms of rainfall. And speaking of rainfall, just briefly up in towards Far North Queensland, the first week of September is when we generally start to see some shower activity begin to build, especially in fringe La Nina years, which is what we're in right now. Conditions in the Nino 3.4 region getting very close to La Nina, even though one is unlikely to develop. And you can see rainfall and shower activity expected to build after about the 1st, and that could get heavy at times through Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, the 3rd, 4th and 5th of September respectively, with some rainfall beginning to build up in towards North Queensland. And you can see rainfall accumulations into that first week of September actually looking pretty healthy here on this forecast modelling. You can see falls approaching 100 millimeters in a few places. So whilst no rainfall is expected throughout the remainder of August up into Far North Queensland, or no measurable rainfall really is expected, we might be seeing 115 millimeters or so develop across the Cassowary coast to welcome in September. Again, not unusual for this time of the year. Far North Queensland generally start to see those falls begin to build at this time of the year. That's going to do it for me today, though. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Today, I'm heading out into the country, into the wheat belt, to go to the 148th Beverley Show, a family tradition of mine for the past 15 years or 10 to 15 years or so. Looking very forward to it. And who knows, if a few thunderstorms do develop around Beverley or York, I might be in a good position to go out and have a look at what they are like, especially into the early afternoon hours. I will be packing an umbrella, though. I do expect a few showers here and there. I'm also going to be going out to have a look at the canola crop as well, and if you two are doing the exact same thing this weekend or in the next couple of weeks before the canola is all harvested, make sure you respect that. This is the farmers' livelihoods out there. I have to say this because a lot of people just completely or have complete disregard for it, but make sure you go out there, you don't trample crops, you don't trespass. It is a farmer's livelihood, and as beautiful as a crop is, it is not yours to destroy. That is all for me today. I hope you've enjoyed the forecast update. Please do consider subscribing, and a special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now, and I'll catch you on the next storm. Goodbye.